Hello everyone and welcome to the Melia Movement podcast. This is a podcast that brings reality, it brings real stories and it brings real people into the limelight of you watching this. I want to spread awareness that us normal people do go on these journeys and come out the other end succeeding in life. Every single guest that I have on this show has been through something in life and now is doing absolutely truly incredible things. I want to share their journey and exactly how they get there. Big love, and as always, Melia fucking movement, baby.
Melia movement, baby.
Stacey, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down, bro. Really appreciate it.
It's all good, mate. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm excited to get into this one because we've been friends for a long time. However, I don't quite know behind the irons and the journey of Stacey. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. I know a fair bit about you and I know this is going to be massively impactful and insightful to people as well. I don't think there would have been another lad that's going to be open and honest as what you're probably going to bring to the table, because I know there's something telling you that it's time to speak the journey now.
Yeah, 100%. I think that obviously there's elements of it where I need to be a little bit careful because there's other people involved.
Yeah.
And some of the things I'm going to talk about will be very big, so you can't go too deep. But I'll give people a broad spectrum of what I've been through and why I'm here and who I am today.
No, so it's the idea is to sort of who was mini Stacey growing up and why are you the Stacey that's impactful in the world today, and just shed some light and inspire.
Sweet. So we'll start with when I was a youth, as they say it. So me as a lad growing up, in a household with three older brothers, with a mum that was separated from my father. My dad, as many people know, is a professional footballer, but I live with my mum. To this day, I don't quite know how that all worked out. My dad's at custody of around probably, 7, 8. But I was a little shit. Let's just get it out there now. I was terrible. And looking back at it now, they're not regrets, some of the things that I've done when I was younger. Youngest of 4 of us all together. So the 3 of them used to sellotape cushions around me, batter me, use me as a punch bag. But it made me grow up strong and be able to, especially growing up in Brighton, you need to be able to handle yourself, let's be honest, or anywhere in the world, especially in today's era anyway. But I was always getting in trouble. Going to school, wasn't really listening. And I think I was following the path that I'd only been shown because there was no curfews to my older brothers. They can go out and do what they want. So they were doing naughty things. I was like, that's all I know. You know what I mean? That's what I'm seeing. So I'm taking it on. So, but yeah, like I said, I need to be a little bit careful of what I say because let's say, for example, my mum sees it. I don't want her to get too sad. But me and my mum, we don't really speak now. So digging a little bit deeper as I was a kid, and it's brought me a lot of trauma to this day, and I'm still getting over it. I'm still trying to work my way through it. So my mum would go on nights out, lock me in the house. She would always have different keys in the door, not necessarily one night stands, but different relationships that wouldn't last too long. So I think looking at that to who I am now, which we're getting later, is probably not helped at all. But I was always getting in trouble, going out fighting, getting told off at school. I remember one time my brothers pushed me to the limit and I got a brother called Danny, who I still love to bits and I always will. But I remember there's one time they were just picking on me. And, you can take it to a certain extent. It's like when you go to school and someone will call a bully that you just chip away. One day they were just chipping away and I had enough. And I actually got a knife out the drawer and I pinned him up against the wall and put it to his throat.
Fuck.
And I was going to do it. I was literally, but then something stopped me. Obviously, it was more of a reaction to everything that was going on. And not one part of me wanted to do it, but in that moment, that's how I think that what I'll get out was like, how do I stop him from picking on me and stuff? And I was the youngest, I had to earn my place.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of violence, lots of fighting. I remember one time I went to, I think you were in like reception or year 1, we used to ride around little bikes on the playground and used to have like tea and cookies and stuff. But I remember I stole my oldest brother's watch, and it's tragic. It was a shit watch anyway, a little Velcro strap. But to him, that was something. So I remember falling over and scratching the face. On the way home, I was petrified. I was so nervous to go home. And how do I, when you borrow something or with your older brothers or sisters and you try and put it back in the same spot, they won't notice. Put it there. And he found out, cut a long story short, one of my brothers had this arm, the other one had this arm, and the other one kicked the back of my head. And my mum didn't have a lot of money, so we had like metal bed frames, and I just smacked my face into it. And a recurring thing of all that violence happening, I think there was a point where my dad was like, look, you're going to have to come live with me. I would go there on the weekends. He only saw me on the weekends. Me and my brother, Leighton, we got the same mum and dad. I would cling on to the fucking door handle of the car and scream, don't make me go back. Don't make me go back. And looking back at it now, it's giving me goosebumps, but no kid should be put in that position. Obviously, if you split, there's an element, I want to live with this person, I want to live with this person. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I think it got so bad that my dad must have been looking in like, I need to take action. The biggest thing for me as a child is looking back and being scared. And I used to sleep in my mum's bed a lot. Look, I'm not afraid to admit, I don't know how old I was still a kid, I was a baby sort of thing. And I went to go into her bed one night and she wasn't there. And I was thinking to myself, she must be downstairs. So I'm going down the stairs, pitch black, swinging her left into the front room and seeing her on the floor and shaking her. And I was thinking to myself, why isn't she waking up? Like, bro, what's going on? So I'm violently shaking her and I just start crying. I thought she was dead. Like, I'm going to be honest, I thought she was dead. So I cried myself to sleep next to her. Woke up in the morning on the carpet, dry mouth, all that. And she was gone. So she had done something, taken something, done whatever, pissed or whatever, and just got up. And that was a recurring thing. It was always normal. Like, I remember going into the fridge and there was always, you know, those cheap boxes of wine. And if you drink it, I'm sorry, but it is cheap. It's snide. It's shit gear. It's poison. It's the devil. But there's always that in there. And like, you know, having dinners was a thing, but you just lived off snacks. Didn't really know when the next meal was. I think there was other priorities in our life.
Yeah.
And it was all over a course of period of, let's say, 6 or 7 years. They're your most important years. They develop who you're going to be. Your pattern's already imprinted, and that's all you know. So I think my dad took action. I was going, mate, and looking back, and look, money's not everything, let's be honest, but looking back, and I was going to school in like a Fruit of the Loom tracksuit with my school shoes on. And looking back to who I am now, I'm proud of that because it's taught me the stuff that I know today. But it's like there was no care. There was nothing. Like, I could do anything I wanted, mate. Like, and I was always running away, trying to seek attention. Like, I was always looking for a love. Yeah. And I found that if I was naughty or if I was violent, I'd get told off. But to me, that was attention.
People caring.
That was someone caring for me. So a lot of the time, my brothers still laugh about it now. I'm that annoying brother that would run up. I'd punch one brother when he weren't looking, sucker punch him, and I'd run to my mum. And I'd be like, mum. And she'd be like, leave him alone. To me, she's protecting me. Yeah. That's love. So I thought being naughty, being violent, or perhaps running away and hiding in a bush at the bottom of the street was the way to get love. But then when I started running away a little bit more, and sitting in someone's garden underneath a tree, no one come looking for me, bro. Yeah. And that's sad. And that's when I really realised that no one actually really cared about me, because I'd sit there for hours in the piss and rain at some points. No one cared. No one cared.
Fuck, you know.
Yeah, mate, it's deep. And I think my mum has her troubles growing up, and that might be why I had the upbringing that I did. But fortunately, I had a dad that was in the public eye, was playing a great level of professional football. He took custody of me, and from there, I learnt right from wrong. It took a very long time. I was going to school. I was getting in trouble. I was getting in fights, and I wasn't shying away from these fights, but I learned that there was more to life. Yeah. I'm not the brightest kid, but what did happen is when I was in lesson, I'm just blessed that I could be concentrating over there, but still picking up information over there. I got good grades. I then went on through school and college, and, you know, especially living in Brighton, it's a bit of a nightmare. Everyone wants to make a name for himself. Yeah. Everyone wants to be the tough cookie. And the boys at your school, your mates, I didn't see eye to eye with them. And the biggest problem is that they didn't even know me. They just knew that I played football and I was good at it. They played football, they were good at it. And we'd play on a Sunday and we'd clash. And we'd all give each other a bit of an earful and all pushy, shovey and that. But that violence then went into school, and there was points where people from your school or other schools would chase my mates through town for looking for scraps and that. But growing up in a city like this, that is what it's all about. Yeah. But if they had come to me and tried to scrap me at 7, 8, 9, 10, I'd have been all up for it.
Yeah.
But I've noticed a real transition through school of it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. And there was a life event further down the line, which I'm sure we'll get into, that changed me completely as a person. It left me with so many regrets. It's left me with a big void, a hole in my life, because it makes you question why him, or particularly why did that happen, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that. But me as a kid, mate, it's a little shit, easiest way to put it. But I think I was a little shit because of certain things that were happening around me that were out of my control. And if I could go back and change it, or for example, if I can, when I have a kid, would I allow it to be like that? Most definitely not. Most definitely not.
So did the environment around your mum, would you say that was the normal, or would it be, obviously it was a huge difference between going and staying at your dad's and then going back there, the two different spectrums. So I'd imagine your dad just didn't take no shit.
Yeah, my dad, do you know what? It's one of them. My dad has another woman in his life, my stepmom, who I generally look at, I'm not afraid to say it, as my mum. Yeah. She was there since been like 3 odds. I think she was at 18 when she took me and my brother on. Mental. She took us on as if we were her own. Like, she sacrificed so much to give us a better life. Yeah. But yeah, I think that there was a point where I was getting in fights all the time, and maybe seeing him, and I might have a black eye or bloody nose or whatever. And as a parent, imagine, put yourself in my dad's shoes, dropping your son off to the mums and then screaming and begging not to get out of the car. I would hide before I knew it was time on a Sunday to go back to my mum's. I would hide in the house and just pray that one day he would say fine. And then at that moment come, I can't remember when it was. I was too young, and I think I blocked a lot of that stuff out. There was a lot of stuff in my childhood that I've blocked out. I remember going back to the care thing. I got a hold of my mum's razor once, and I used it on my leg, and I was only young, like 6. And if my mate cuts his leg on a razor, the last thing I'm doing is going to put a wet flannel on it and tell him to go to sleep, because that flannel's got to dry out. Yeah. So I woke up, just pulled it off. But imagine what that does, just reopens it. And I just think there was just a real lack of attention to detail and care. And look, I'm not going to cut her any slack. Like, we have our differences, but I do think that it comes from her upbringing. I know it wasn't a nice upbringing. Yeah. So she was just doing what she had been taught to do, and the only way she knew what to do. And how much did that have an impact on you at school, anger-wise? Oh, mate, I was so angry. And I still am now, but I just know how to control it. And I think that growing up at school, like I said, because all I was seeing was violence, and some of her partners had been in prison and stuff. So I thought that's what everyone must be doing. Yeah, it's normal. So I was like, if a kid annoyed me, bang, hit him. And it changed through school. But I had a real soft spot for my mum because I never really got the love from her. I remember one kiddie in secondary school, when I was at Long Hill, said something, my mum was a drug dealer, which I know she wasn't. She didn't have all the money and the flash stuff, so I knew she wasn't. But it just grated on me, and because I'm always seeking validation from my mum, so I just thought, done it, so I headbutted him. I got kicked out of school. And it's like, looking back at it now, like, we all say your mum jokes and we all say this stuff, but I think I took it personally because perhaps I don't have the right relationship with my mum, or violence again. Well, this is how I seek my mum's validation. So if I'd rung her and said, look, I headbutted some kids, if I was to ring my dad and said, Dad been kicked out of school for headbutting someone, it'd go mental. If I ring my mum, she wouldn't even give a shit. Fuck. That is two different households. Two completely different things. And when my brothers were getting kicked out of school, like, they left, I think, early on. I don't think they'd done their exams. Mum didn't give a shit. Generally didn't, because I think that she couldn't cope. And I think that's what it boils down to. She couldn't cope. But then I had a little sister that was born as well. And this was probably the hardest point of growing up, seeing it, because she was my mum's world. She was my mum's world. So she's got 4 boys. A girl comes and 4 boys is hard. But then you bring a girl into the mix. My mum done everything for that girl up until my sister's now in her 20s. But she's done everything for her whole life. And I look back at it, I'm like, why couldn't you give me that? Why? And it's brought so many problems into my life, so many. Like, I get into a relationship and can't hold it down. Just generally can't. And it's not so much that I can't hold it down, because I think that I've not spoken about certain things that happened to my mum, and I've got traumas. So I think that coming into a house, because I see the men doing it with my mums, and leaving after a short period of time was the normal. Yeah. And then this now is a pure educational process on what's right and what's wrong. And I think there's this element of it's through trial and error. And it's through each time I've gotten into a relationship, I've grown. and I will continue to grow. But like, I don't want to be bouncing from relationship to relationship till when I'm 50. I'm like, yes, I've nailed it now because look, I'm going to be a lonely man with 9 cats. But yeah, the answer to your question is, it must have been mad for my dad and my mum at the time. But my dad took me out, and I'm so thankful he did.
Talk to me about the process of your dad taking you under his wing permanently.
So this will speak volumes for the situation that I was in. So obviously you have to go to court, and just get it out there before. My dad has never once, ever to this day, even if I ask him, said a bad word about mum. He just won't do it.
Yeah.
My mum didn't turn up to court to fight for custody. My dad obviously had a custody thing, and I know you put your head down, and if I don't laugh, I cry, mate. And the thing is, I look at it now and I'm like, if I had a kid, I get goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps. If I had a kid, mate, I would do anything for that kid. My dad had me very young, like 18. He didn't drive or whatever.
Yeah. He
He used to walk, I think, from Withdean to Woodendene. It's taken 3.5 hours. He'd see me for an hour and then walk back. He would do that 3 or 4 times a week. After working or training at football, he'd walk. So he took custody, and basically my mum didn't turn up. So they gave her a second chance. They said, look, whatever happened, but they gave her a second chance. I don't think she turned up that time either. So my dad got full custody. And I remember moving in. I think the first place I went to was a Lea Hurst Court in Brighton. He had a 2-bed flat. So me and my brother were in one room, they were in the other, and we were still young, so it was great. Man, it was some of the happiest times, bro. Happiest times. He taught me how to ride a bike with stabilised on the concrete outside. And they're things that I cherish forever. And, you don't tell your parents it's enough.
No.
We all take it for granted because touch wood, he don't. But if he died tomorrow, I would regret not telling him so many things.
Yeah.
And I think that as I'm getting older and older,
becomes easier and easier to
it
share
does.
it.
It does, because I think that we all drop our ego a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think
massively.
that we know that being loving and caring and serving
It's
and
cool as
helping
fuck.
others, it's ledge, mate.
It's cool now.
Yeah, mate, I love it. And the thing is, you see it on Instagram as well, you'd always see people posting, I don't know, a few years ago with their Stony jumper or their Rolex, and they thought they were it, and they thought that was what was cool. But now, open up, and
Yeah.
the further along we're going in the 2022 and the years to come, I think that speaking about how you feel is the new that.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And girls dig it.
Yeah. And no one can hold anything against you, because it's like vulnerability for me. I mean, all you have to do is go on YouTube and there's everything to fucking know about
Yeah,
it.
I know, yeah.
So I'm an open book. It is. And you do feel refreshed, and it is rewarding as well. And you grow so many more beneficial relationships, because people that relate to you as a person because of what you've been through, that's how the relationships and friendships build.
Yeah, you get things in common. And I think that you also build a bond there where if I know everything about you and you know everything about me, no shit's going to crop up.
Blah.
It's almost like when let's say you're getting with a girl and you start dating, but you had sex with somebody else 2 weeks later. It's like, fuck, is that going to crop up? And let's be honest, we live in Brighton, so
Yeah.
it could be a best mate or a cousin. No one even knows. Do you know what I mean? So no one even knows. But I think that if you go into certain things, being vulnerable and being open and
Yeah.
honest, then no one else can ask for more.
And it's the most powerful thing in the world. Like, it takes a strong person to be able to do it, to leave yourself. Because it's in a day and age where people could watch something or listen to something, and when you're younger, it's, just take the piss straight away. But when you do that, it's like, I don't care enough now. Like,
Yeah, I think it gets to a certain point where you start being more open and more vulnerable, and someone takes a piss, and mate, it doesn't bother me
I couldn't
anymore.
give a fuck, yeah.
Like, I remember a big thing for me, just to digress off the childhood thing, is I went on obviously Shipwreck, the TV show, and I cried on there. And in that moment in time, I cried on TV that was going to be shown to all these people. I didn't even think about it, right? And I didn't even think about it. I just done it because it was in the moment, and that's what was authentic and felt great. Like, someone had been on the show and I had to send them home. And in their head, they're on this journey and they're on this amazing whirlwind. They've got all these emotions. They're enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
I've got to cut it short. Who am I to do that?
Yeah.
And I hadn't been on the show for that long. So it proper cut me up, and I cried. But I remember getting to the point as I come off the show. It didn't air for a couple of months, but when it aired, my Instagram and stuff was blowing up. My phone was blowing up. People print screening me crying. I was like, man up, bro. Man up, bro. And we're or laughing faces. Or I remember this one girl, and if she watches this, she'll know who she is. I'm not even going to say her name, but she sent me a print screen of somebody else's story, and then she just put loads of laughing faces, like, what the fuck? But she wasn't talking about the TV thing because she knew that I was doing it. She was talking about me crying. So she's almost taking the piss a little bit. I remember looking at it, and I lost so much respect for a girl that I dated for so long, and I was just like, bothered. Like, what? You're laughing? I don't care. Yeah, and that show made me such a better person. Such a better person.
That's crazy because there is a stigma around men opening up and men showing vulnerability and men showing signs of emotion. But I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, and I think we're all still learning because there'll be certain bits, especially in a recent relationship that I had, that where going into certain situations, you're like, yeah, I want to be open. Something might happen that would trigger you, and I'll just close up. But I think that because I've been taught by my mum growing up that there was no emotion. There was no emotion ever spoke. If I cried, I was a pussy. If I got angry, we had to fight. There was no, as a kid, when your mum would put your arm around you or your dad or whatever, and my dad wasn't really there in the development years, where you put your arm around me and he'd be like, don't worry, son, everything will be all right. Or, oh, don't worry about the bullies at school and all this. I just learned that you just deal with it on your own. And I'm still dealing with most things on my own. Like my mates would text me their problems, and I'm dealing with all that shit.
Yeah.
But I've held so much in over the course of, I'm 28 now, probably over the course of 24 years. And it got to the point where it just started toppling out. And that toppling out effect was me perhaps not being as attentive to people around me, not being the person that I promised myself that I would be. And I think that in probably the last 2 years, lockdown was obviously a big effect on that as well. It had a massive effect on everybody, but I was like, I'm just going to be a better person. And I'm not all the time. I'm not going to fucking lie to you.
Yeah.
But I do make a choice every time I wake up to try and be a better person. So that's what you can ask.
Amazing. So, already blown away already, mate. I didn't really know that at all. How was the living with your dad? You said it was some of the best times that you've had. Obviously, he was playing football. That must have been cool as fuck.
Yeah, mate, unbelievable.
At Brighton, was he at Brighton and Fulham?
Yeah, he's at Brighton, Fulham, Gillingham, Brentford. So we were travelling a lot for games. And to go from, let's say, having not a pot to piss and having nothing and doing nothing on the weekend apart from going down the local green and kicking a ball around down the ruck, to go into these football stadiums surrounded by thousands of people, listen to him chant your old man's name, it was surreal. Brighton was my favourite by far. Obviously, we used to, everyone knew who he was. You'd see shirts with his name on the back. And then when I would wear one as well, it was there's a sense of pride there. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
A sense of pride. And we'd go to games and you'll see the other footballers in there, and you go into a Brighton one as big as what they are now, but they had some little building. You go up, I'd nick all the sandwiches, a little shit, and they'd have all the sandwiches. It was like where players' family can go and stuff. And mate, it was electric. There were games where we'd go and my dad would score, and it would just give you the best feeling ever. But it's really weird that people ask me about it, because I remember going to school, a normal school over in Saltdean, and thinking to myself, I wish my dad was a footballer, because it just never settled in.
Yeah.
Like people are only ever really talking about like David Beckham and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like all these big time footballers at the time. He had a big name. He was doing very well, but I was like, I wish he was footballer. And kids come up to me like, "Oh, your dad played good on the weekend." I'd be like, "Oh shit, no, he is though. And it took a while. So growing up with him, we had great memories. We started going on holidays. Like, I'd never really been on holiday. So I was fortunate enough to go on holiday. Like I remember growing up through secondary school, we'd go to America for like a month. My stepmother family would go for a month, and it was such a contrast. So even though it was a good contrast, it was almost like every opportunity I got, I was almost like, you go on holiday as a kid, I know that I was naughty, because it's still the only way that I knew how to behave.
Yeah.
So it must have been difficult for my dad, and especially my stepmom, who had at this probably moment no bond with us, because I remember being horrendous to her. Like, and I hope she sees this, because I tell her every Mother's Day, every birthday, or sometimes randomly, I love you, you are my mum. And she's never had kids of her own. So I remember being so horrible. One time I was in normal school, and I had a book and I wrote poems about her, and they were horrible. They were shit. I was not going to be a rapper, let's be honest. They were like, Lorraine the Pain sits on a crane, hope she stays up there all day, and all things like childish shit like that. But that must have hurt her, because she found it, she read it. But whenever I got in trouble, I'd be like, "You're not my mum, you can't say nothing to me.
Yeah.
You're not my mum, you can't do that to me." Imagine hearing that. a woman that's given it her all, that when I played for Brighton when I was young, would drive 45 minutes, sit in a pitch black car park, which is scary for me to do, and read a book and wait for me for 2 hours.
Yeah, fucking hell.
She done that. My mum's never done any of that stuff. Mum's never come to watch my football games. It was always my dad and my stepmum. But let's go back to, growing up with my dad being a footballer was great, although people think it is, but when you're a kid and it's Christmas and your old man's got a bugger off for a football game and you might not get Christmas Eve or Christmas with him or Boxing Day or whatever,
Yeah.
as a youngster, you can't understand that stuff. Now I understand it was a sacrifice to provide for the family and to build the great life that he has now, but it was frustrating. Like, where's my dad? He's picking football over me. You don't understand it, do you? But yeah, it was a blessing to have him as a dad.
So that must have been, that's just one big, I guess, head fuck really, because obviously the relationship you had with your mum and then obviously your dad's job was very demanding. Did you feel lost at times, or did you look at sort of people you was at school with and their families?
Mate,
and think,
that was
fucking
tough. Yeah, looking at other families, especially as a kid, it's always like, especially when you don't really know, it's like my brother and his partner are split, but then it's her 5th birthday today. And I love this shit. So she asked if mummy and daddy can take her to McDonald's for like a birthday dinner. You can go anywhere you want, but can mummy and daddy take me? They're not together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just fortunate they have that relationship. If I had said that, my mum would be chilling my old man. Do you know what I mean? It just would never have happened. And I just think that I looked at other families and was like, why are my parents not together? Or look how loving they are. Or why do they have that and I don't? Because I didn't really, although I went to my dad's at the weekend, I didn't know what they were doing Monday to Friday. I didn't know what life they were living. I was just going to the zoo, or I was just going to the cinema, or watching him play football. So I just compared everything. And I still think that has a big effect on me now, because I've always said when I grow up, I don't want to bring my kid into a broken family, because I know exactly. And there'll be a lot of other people that know how tough that can be. Yeah. Especially coming if one parent's got everything and the other one's got pretty much nothing. This parent will resent this parent.
Even if they've done nothing.
And if they've done nothing. And that was another thing that I've struggled with. I started playing a great level of football. I started becoming a little bit successful. And to this day, my mum would go, this happened recently. My mum it'd be my sister's birthday. She'd contact all the brothers, invite them out for dinner. I don't get an invite.
Is there any reason for that?
I don't know the reason for it.
Your brothers shed light on it?
No, I think they just make excuses for her. And I think that my birthday cards from my mum and stuff stopped at, let's say, 14. And it was deep. Because my other brothers would be getting birthday cards, Danny and Ricky, but later not so much, but he still did. And my sister was like, why does she not love me as much as them? But because she resented my dad for one, taking me, and because she probably thought he was an arsehole, had a great life. But then when I started to transition into having a great life as well, she would tar me with the same brush that would affect you, like I'm like my old man. So I stopped getting invites to birthday dinners. I stopped getting birthday cards, stopped getting happy birthday texts. Bro, I remember I used to literally get, when you got a loose mate and you log on Facebook and you go, happy birthday, no kisses, nothing. I just become a comment. I was just a comment to her in the end. And I didn't speak to her I probably spoke to her on her birthday and stuff, but it was a number of years, I'm talking a long number of years, where I stopped seeing her, I stopped making an effort. But then my dad would always say to me that if she unfortunately died tomorrow, or you did, at least you can carry to your grave that you knew you'd done everything right and she could never throw it back in your face. So true. And it stuck with me. So, well, now you're going to get to a bit where it perhaps didn't. I had a girlfriend at the time. I think I was 23, and I'd never taken anyone to meet my mum. And I just thought, they're just doing a barbecue. That I'm 22, 23 now. Let's take her. Girlfriend at the time was Salt. Like, I'm very attractive, fake boobs and that. So automatic, I was worried because I knew that my mum would probably think wankers sort of thing. And I'd turn up in a car that I'd recently brought, and I remember sending a picture to my mum because I was proud and I wanted her to be proud. And I was like, "Mum, do you like my new car?" I think I was like 20 and I brought a Mercedes, and I brought it outright. And fortunate for me, I got it at an auction, so it was a lot cheaper. But brought this car. And she didn't reply. And I was like, fuck. But if I had told her that I've just done 6 months inside, she'd be like, come round for a cup of tea, we'll catch up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's mind-blowing. Yeah. Because it's like, what am I doing right? So when I took that girl round, the first thing my mum said, she went up, whispered in her ear, and I only found this out like a year later. She literally said, "We're not like his dad, don't worry." And this poor girl is like, but what's wrong with his dad? Because her family's very similar. They do well in life, and they're very similar. She's automatically thinking she's on the back guard. And then my mum was like, digging me out. And I took her Mother's Day flowers actually before that barbecue. And when I walked in, my mum was crying in her room. I didn't know this at the point. I opened the door and I walked upstairs and I said to my sister, "Where's mum?" And she said, "Oh, in the room." My mum walks in, I've got flowers, chocolate and cards. And she goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was 23 at this point, and she goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Mother's Day." Happy Mother's Day. She went, "I haven't been your mum for 15 years. And it was that point where I said to myself, "You're not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
Because I don't do things for appreciation or to get anything back, but fucking hell, come on, there's got to be an element of like acknowledgement, like thank you. But she looked at me and literally went, "I haven't been your mum 15 years." And then she tried to make my sister say to me, "Go on, you tell him, Flo. And I remember so clearly that my sister felt mad uncomfortable. She didn't want to say that. I'm her brother. So I just left. And from that moment on, I was like, yeah, fuck this bitch, put it nicely. But I was hurt.
Yeah.
And I was very hurt.
But that's like setback after setback after setback. You're swallowing your pride. And as a young lad, to let things go is fucking hard. I mean, I didn't talk to my brother for a certain amount of time because we just both couldn't drop things. And you've gone there, you've put your hand out, and it's just been thrown back as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? I've only think I've ever done that with my mum because, again, it goes back to when I was a kid, just seeking approval, trying to get love, trying to get it all. But I think that when I stopped speaking to her for a number of years and my brothers didn't really change, there were still little shits and stuff, she built a better bond with them. Yeah. They would pop round for a Sunday roast. But to tell you the truth, I couldn't pop round for a Sunday roast even if I wanted to because I've got nothing to say to her. I've got nothing in common. So if you put me in this room with her now and you guys, or you walk out, bruv, I wouldn't know what to say. It'd be an awkward conversation. I'd be more comfortable sitting on a local bus having a conversation with a randomer that I had to share a seat with.
Wow.
And that's the truth of it. It is the truth of it. Like recently, I remember my parents saying, "Oh, does your mum wish you Merry Christmas?" I was like, "Nah." And they just put their head down. And I did have a cry. I think it was maybe in lockdown or I was visiting from where I lived previously back into Brighton. And my stepmom went, "Oh, did you get invited to your sister's birthday dinner?" This was very recent. This was last year. I was like, "What birthday dinner?" And they were like, "What, you didn't get invited?" And bro, I broke down, cried. My stepmom said, "Does that not annoy you?" And I went to say no, but as I said no, I got the lump. And I was trying to fight it. And I was like, "No, don't fight it." So I cried, and then my stepmom cried. And she was like, "I just don't understand how anyone can't love you." And to hear that come out of her mouth, it almost reinforces the lack of love, or just, you brought me into the world, fucking hell, like at least take some sort of responsibility. Do you know what I mean?
And there was never really, by the sounds of it, any responsibility at all.
Nah, never.
Have you asked her why?
Mate, I'd be too afraid. I think that the damage is done, and I think that I've done certain things to learn to let it go. So the reasoning for it won't matter now. Yeah. Because the damage is done. I'm 28 years old, mate. Yeah. The damage is definitely...
The answers are changing nothing.
Whether she apologises for it will never make that time better for me. Yeah. So what's the point? There really is no point.
It's a fucking mature way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I think that I never used to look at it that way. I used to hide it and pretend that I wasn't bothered when deep down I was bothered, very bothered. But I think now I've just got to promise to myself that the mother to my kids and me as a father don't put my kids in that same predicament or situation because it's not nice. They shouldn't have to cling onto door handles to want to stay in their dad's car. Yeah. It's just not a nice feeling.
That's crazy. Yeah, my mum didn't really have the best upbringing, but she has been the polar opposite to her.
Bro, this is what I mean though, and this is another bit where I can't remember. If you've got a shit upbringing, you do everything in your might, and bearing in mind, I was the last of 4. Yeah. So you have the one, okay, you might not. You have the second one, should I be doing more? You have the third one, and I'm the 4th one. You would have thought that you're going to learn your lesson, or I think, I don't know what went on, but you just think that you would do everything to make sure your kids are set up in life, because I know I would, I know my dad has.
Yeah, massively.
And I know that when you look in society and you look now, it's a lot of people, like you see, touch base on it, you see like immigrants come over. They work there they all have free jobs just so their kids can go to uni.
100%.
Why wasn't my parents, well, my dad, not so much, but why wasn't mum doing that? It's mad.
Yeah.
It's mental.
My mum, as I said, she's not the best upbringing, but best mum in the world. She's given me everything. She literally, there's been times where your food looks nice, and I'll have it instead of her. Do you know what I mean?
way.
Yeah, 100. I'm literally, and she is that type of mum that she would literally give me her plate of food if it meant that I didn't go hungry,
Mate.
or if didn't feel well, I'd have her bed and she'd sleep somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? That is the type of mum.
That is a mum.
Yeah.
That is a mum. But I also believe that just because my mum brought me into the world, doesn't mean that she's my mum.
No.
My stepmom's my mum.
Yeah, that's
and I make that very clear to her. So, and I think that she appreciates that.
Amazing. Sorry to hear that, but I'm also, mate, bro, you are the man you are today because of it.
Do you know what? Would I change it? Nah. Really wouldn't, because if you take all that away, I like who I am today. I like the position I am in life. If you take all that away, I'm not who I am now. I might be someone, if she gave me a really nice upbringing, I might be completely different. I might be a wanker right now. And look, there's an element of me that is, like we all are, but do you know what I mean? I might not be sitting in this seat right now.
Yeah.
I might not be...
projecting your lessons out to other people.
Exactly that, mate. I might not be able to help other people.
Yeah, so. Amazing. So that mentally that would have got you. So at 23 was when you turned up there for Mother's Day. Talk to me about the sort of downness you may would have had on your mental health with that. Did you move forward with sort of football?
So,
because to me, you was just that tall kiddie that was unreal at football. I hated it. So I was like 4 foot fuck all.
Yeah, you were blessed with that side, were you? And do you know what? I wasn't. I was always the short but aggressive one, because my dad, football back then in, let's say, 19 or early 2000s was all about crunch tackle. There was none of this. There was none of this spraying the can on the floor, going to the fourth official or whatever it may be. It was just like tackle, get stuck in. And this is another problem that I've had. But my dad, because I was playing football and I was hitting hard tackles, there was other parents moaning on the sideline saying it's a kid's game. But my dad was, because he was a footballer, he was like, no, you need to get stuck in, you need to get stuck in. I remember if I didn't tackle enough in a game, I'll get grounded. No joke. Fuck. He made me cry on the way home those times saying, you pussy, you didn't get stuck in today, because he just wanted the best out of me, but it was the wrong way for him to do it. There was multiple times we'd stop off at the shop to get sweets to say sorry for making me cry. But
yes, Daz.
Yeah, I know, he loves it, doesn't he? But I think that it did have a massive effect on mental health. And I did start to really throw myself into football. So at 23, I was playing very well. I was playing for a local team in the conference, Lewis at the time, and then I went on trial at Crawley. And do you know what? I've been so unlucky. I went on trial at Crawley, and I was going to Vegas a week later. So I had a week's trial, and you know, sometimes you do something, you're like, yeah, I smashed it, I've done enough. And that was the only time at that point where I was like, I've fucking smashed this. I remember the goalkeeper took a kick and we were doing like a training game, and instead of taking a touch, I was on the halfway line and I brought it down on my chest. And I didn't even let it hit the floor. I volleyed it. I'm a centre-half, mate. We don't have fucking skill. We're headed boot it. I brought it on my chest and I just hit it on a side volley, and it went out to the left winger. And from that moment on, I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, I was like, done it. Bothered. I could do shit now, and I've got this.
Yeah.
And I'm vocal as well. I don't shut up. So I remember then thinking, I've got this contract. Little did I know, on the Monday morning, when I was due to find out, the manager got sacked. So whatever hopes or dreams I had playing for that club died with him. And I'd already spoken to him, and he was saying how he thought I was done very well and all this. And I was like, oh, no. Like, no. So there was another knockback. It was just another one. And that took a big toll on mental health, because I remember going home and saying to my old man, like, mate, in back of my mind, I'm putting all this negative stuff from childhood into a physical sport, because, you know, when people get stressed to go to the gym, they lift weights and they really focus. So I just put it into football. And again, I just wanted to make my dad proud. Like, he took me from the situation I was in, I just wanted to make my dad proud. So there I am, knuckling down at football. That happens. I go to Vegas. I get a text from Dermot Drummond was the guy's name. Unfortunately, he's passed now, sadly, but he was at Chelsea. He took over and he said, do you want to play in a trial game in 2 days? He said, look, I'll get back from Vegas tomorrow. It would be stupid of me. I've been boozing for 2 weeks and drinking, eating and whatever. So no, and never heard from them again. So I then went back to it, Lewis, and they put it all in the papers and they put it all on social media, and social media is big now, and everyone's reading it like good luck, good luck, good luck. But how can I then come to you and be like, yeah, I didn't get it because the manager got sacked? You'd be like, you just didn't get it because you're shit, mate. Do you know what I mean? But it's not the truth behind it. There might be, I might not have been good enough, but I believe that I was, and everyone was telling me I was. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. And then I just thought, right, another knockback. Do I play? Do I keep playing? And I did. I was dating a girl at the time, and her brother was a professional footballer for Brighton. So I was like, I almost wanted to prove to, not to him, but to her family and to my family and friends that I was good enough.
Yeah.
I then put all my focus and energy, and I guess it probably wasn't good because I was forgetting all the issues, and I was just tunnel vision. And then I went on trial at Stevenage. Went and played a game against Southend in house game. Played really well. I remember my old man getting a phone call on the way home from the head of recruitment like an hour later. Your boy's good, isn't he? And I was sat there and I was there like, but my dad was a pro, so he wanted me to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah.
I know he was proud of that moment. He's like, yeah, he's all right, isn't he? I'm sat next to him and he kept on looking at me. He's like, shh, shh. He didn't want the geezers to know I was in the car.
Yeah,
and he
of
was.
course.
So from that moment on, I knew that I was going to get offered something. So I actually went on a players' night out on, I think it was on the Saturday. I was still playing for Lewis, so I think I played on the Saturday and then we went out. But during the course of the night, I was like, I don't want to be here. I've got bigger fish to fry now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking of the
definitely.
bigger picture. I don't want to be
Yeah.
in a bar drinking. And I left number 32 and I went to the cash point. I think it was at 1, which is early to be leaving there, at 1:30. And I remember, I won't mention any names, but I remember being at the cash point and I could feel someone's eyes on me. And I turned around and there was a kiddie that I had a problem with. I didn't have a problem with him. I'll be honest, I slept with a girl that he dated for 5 years, but they've been broken up for a year. So it's going to be sore subject for him. Like, it's going to be hard for him to digest. He was just staring at me. He was on his own. And I'm getting money out. So I thought, well, I'm getting money out for a taxi. Is this geezer going to rob me, sucker punch me or whatever? So I just turned around after I got money, said, like, do you want to walk away as men or do you want to fight? Like that. Straight up. I'm a lot bigger than him. And he didn't say that, he just said, walk away. So I then bring my girlfriend at the time, walking down. I remember saying, yeah, no, I just don't fancy it. I got football, really excited, just hopefully here on Monday. This was Saturday. So I'm on the phone to her at this point, and out of nowhere, someone calls my name, and I turn to the left. He fucking hits me at a taxi rank 5 minutes down the road. He's followed me and hit me. My phone's flown out my hand. I've kind of, as I've turned, I've come back but grabbed him and slammed into the floor. But 3 police officers on the other side of the street have just seen that.
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like a wanker here. I had high top Balenciagas on, which don't allow your feet to move. So one copper's rugby tackled me in the neck, one's hit my waist, and the other's taken my ankles. Fuck. But as I've rolled, my feet didn't move. So as I've rolled and they're on top of me, and but bearing in mind, I didn't know these were police, so I thought they were this kiddie's mates.
Yeah.
So I'm there trying to ruck these coppers, and one's fucking got his knee, he's on my chest, and then they're like, get off him, it wasn't him. So I get up after taking an absolute shit punch, let's be honest. But I get up, and that's not the point. But what happened was that kid's actions ruined my career, because when I got home, when I woke up in the morning, my girlfriend come round with a Costa and a cross on to wake me up. I got out of bed and I fell to the floor and I looked down. Matt, I couldn't even see my toes. I'd ruptured my ligaments in my ankle just from that punch and where the police officer had taken me down. So my contract with that football club was gone.
Fuck.
Was gone. Just because I'd slept with a girl that he had dated a year before, it might even be longer than a year, and he couldn't let it go. Like, no offence, your problem should be with her, not with me, mate.
Yeah.
Because I didn't actually even know this girl, and that sounds bad. Yeah, it was a one-night stand, but I didn't even know this girl. But my football career and my hopes of turning professional literally ended there. And I didn't ever, from that moment on, when I didn't get a contract, I thought, I'm never going to turn pro again, because I've just had too many knockbacks. I didn't even want it in the end. I didn't even want it. So then I had to think that, where do I then focus all this energy now? And then that's when life for me, I started going out a little bit more, probably started just being a lad, going out, sleeping around, doing things that you shouldn't be doing, not criminal things, but just being in places where you shouldn't be, doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And I think that was all I knew. It really was all I knew. And I had no other outlet. I was still playing football, but then you're the kid that's gone on numerous pro trials and hasn't got a contract.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So the ego with that is fucking
Battered, mate.
Battered.
Destroyed, yeah.
Sense of disappointment. Obviously, that situation's nothing to do with you, but would there have been a bit of disappointment within yourself, or was you more worried about the disappointment of the family? Thinking,
Do you know what? I remember telling my old man, and his immediate reaction was, all right, we're going to fuck him up. He's like, who is it? And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? I had friends at the time. Look, we've all got them dodgy mates that are a bit rough around the edges, and they were like, look, I'm gonna go fuck him up. I'm gonna weigh him in. And there was one mate that was calling this kid's dad at work. Like, my friends were taking it personally because they knew just how much this meant to me.
Yeah.
So they were ringing the family business as like, is so and so there? I was like, no, and he was like, we'll tell him we're gonna get him. And I remember saying, don't do it.
Yeah.
What am I going to achieve? And it's only going to come back on me anyway, so there's no point. So yeah, I was disappointed, and I think that my dad wasn't disappointed. I think he was gutted more than anything. I think he was devastated for me. So there was just definitely this void that needs to be filled somewhere. And then that's when I got into, obviously, meeting Jake and got into weight training and started counting my macros. But because I stopped playing football at the time because I had 3 hernias. So all I'd done was lift weights, and it got to the point where I was going 3 times a day. Mate, I was falling into my boot on my 3rd session after leaving the underground. This is no joke. I would always pray that I got, outside the front door. I'd always pray I got a car parking space there because I knew I'd be fucked. I've already been twice today, and I'm on 2,010 calories, which is nothing. And I'm going 3 times a day. So I remember leaning into my boot looking for a rice cake. Mate, I look like a fucking smack addict. I'm looking for a rice cracker thing. And I remember eating it and my whole body was trembling. But I was that motivated and that so far gone into where all my energy was focused that I waited, I ate 2, and I still counted my macros. They weren't even extra. I went in and finished my workout. And it was I'm just an all or nothing type of guy. So I focused all the negative emotions and thoughts on the not getting the football contracts into weightlifting.
So from obviously the having to knock the football on the head, I know with rugby, mate, it's heartbreaking to do it, but sometimes you just go, enough is enough. I couldn't take any more setbacks.
Mate, that's literally what it boiled down to.
People don't realise, it's heartbreaking for us, but when you have to have that same car journey home with your dad, and your dad literally can't understand why it hasn't happened yet, but because luck's obviously been against us or things haven't gone our way, I got fed up of saying, like, when I stopped, like, that I don't know what more I can do.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think that if you'd put younger me, that footballer, in now, I'd have had a contract straight away. Because it was a lot harder back then, probably the same as rugby. Now they've got under 23s, they've got developments, 21s, 18s, 15s, 16s. Everywhere. And people buy it. Football's a business, it's an investment now. So, whereas if back then you had League 3, 2, 1, like Premier League or whatever, so you had to be top dog to make it. And it was tough because you had no youth. I remember going to train with men from a young age and getting battered. I remember playing I was 15 and I went to a conference team just to train. Danny Cullip, who people would know, he's a professional footballer at Brighton, put his finger in my eye. I was 15. Corner comes in, I've gone to jump. He put his finger in my eye and dragged me to the floor. But I remember getting home and I remember literally my eye was so sore and I was rubbing it the whole way home. My stepmom was like, "You're all right." And I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be looked at as some little... I've been given an opportunity to be there. I remember saying to my dad, he went, "Yeah, it'll only make you tougher, son."
Yeah, that's it, innit?
You're supposed to protect me, mate. So, I think that it's just a knockback. So, but realistically, ask someone how many setbacks you can take. Someone will say, "Oh, no, I won't give up." When you're in that position, bro,
you don't know.
You do not know. It might even just be 1, 2, but I've taken about 10.
There's a subject, obviously, I wanted to touch on that we both... It was an impact on not probably your friendship group, but the whole of Brighton. Growing up with a close friend of yours, Connor Saunders, sadly lost his life. What ages were you then? We was
18,
19 then. So obviously going through the transition of sort of trying to have a relationship with your mum, going from girlfriend to girlfriend, because obviously that issue's there. Obviously losing one of your best mates. Can you tell us about the impact of that? Because I know there'll be people out there that we've had people on this show on this podcast that have lost close friends. Talk to us sort of the impact that had. Yeah,
getting fucking goosebumps talking about it, but it's one of those things that I don't, for a long period of time, just talk about what happened. Actually, no, I want to go straight in with the deep side of it. I've got regrets about that situation. I know a lot of my mates have, but mine particularly are different to theirs. During the period of time that happened leading up to it, I was arguing with Connor. No one knows this. So this will be the first time I talk about it. No, and I've had to live with this, for 10 years now. I was arguing with Connor. Something fucking petty. I think it was over a girl or something. As it is a lad, I think that I can't remember what it was over, because that would, to me now, is so unimportant. What more is that I've concentrated on the regret, so I've blocked all that stuff out. But I was arguing with him, and I remember saying to him, as you do, oh, well, let's have a fight then. Like, loosely, so loosely. Then his brother was like, his older brother was like, oh, shut up, give it a rest. And I just said, well, I'll fight you as well then. Because that, again, youth, that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I never really got into fights, but I was never afraid to do it. So I remember me and Connor were sending various shitty texts to each other. And I think I'll be talking about having a scrap, which never would happen because we've been in this position a million times before. And
all best mates have.
And we were so fortunate. It was like a group of like 30 of us, and I played football with Connor at all the same football teams since I've been like 5, or however age, moving up or playing against him, and we joined teams. So I was actually at one of my friends' houses, or my house, actually having pre-drinks. So we got on the number 27 bus that goes from Saltdean. They were all going to jump on in Rottendean. So as we're coming past the Tesco in Rottendean, there was a commotion there. And we were all looking at it. We were drinking at the back of the bus, and we were like, where are they? Like, where are they? So someone called me. I can't remember what it was. Like, there's been a fight. Connor's been punched. But at the time, I literally went, oh, well. Like that, thinking that, because I had this negative thought on him, and I thought to myself, fuck it, like it'd be fine, like we've all been punched, you know what I mean? So when we were out, really pissed, and someone was like, someone said something, and I was like, yeah, I don't care. It was like, oh, he's hurt or something. I was like, yeah, I don't care, I'm pissed, it's like 3 a.m. I then get home, I don't know, like 3:30, 4, and then my phone goes, and as a youth, we had table, we had a bottle of vodka, your Belvedere Grey Goose, what the little melts used to do back in the day, take a picture of it holding the bottle, because you're young. I wasn't thinking about what just happened, so because a lot of my mates still come out.
Yeah.
So I remember waking up to a phone call at 6:30, at 6:15, and it was one of my good girl mates. And I pick up the phone, and I'm like, why are you ringing? Like, I say her name, why are you ringing me? Hang up. Oh, I don't want to talk to you. I'm fucking knackered. I'm still steaming, sort of thing. So phone goes again. And by this time, time had passed. She rang me like 20 minutes later, and she goes, who are you with? I was like, why? But I thought that she might take a girl home or a motor girls. I was like, no, I'm why? So I just need to tell you something. Then I heard in the background someone say, don't be the one to tell him. So obviously at this point I knew nothing. So my mouth's dry as anything. So I'm walking down, and in my old house it was all made out of glass. So as I come down the stairs, my parents were on the sofa, and they were up early for some reason, and I'm on the phone, and then she just goes, Connor died last night. And I remember just completely freezing in the middle of the room. And my parents must have been like I see a ghost, because they went to say, how was your night? And this is when I literally heard it. So they looked at me and they knew something was wrong. And I remember I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, no, he died. And I remember just putting the phone down, and just from that moment on, I can't remember a thing. I remember just going upstairs, getting dressed, getting in my car and fucking off. And because to me, I just couldn't process it. It was just so much. I was just in shock. And I spent the next couple of days with my mate Abe and Joe Panther. We would just crying and stuff together, and there was vigils for Connor. But the biggest regret that I hold around that moment, and it still eats me alive, I was nervous coming here talking about it, is the fact that I was horrible to him before and was saying horrible things to him, and he got taken. So I can't right that wrong. So that's had an effect on me now in life. When I have an argument with someone, I'll never say something horrible, because you can't, I don't know what's going to happen to me, or I don't know how it's going to happen to that person. So it's eating me alive. But I then started getting paranoid, thinking, did other people know that I was arguing with him? Does that mean that I can't be as sad as these people? Or when we went to certain vigils, or like his funeral, I didn't know how to act, because I didn't know whether people knew that I was arguing at the point. But it doesn't take away that he was my friend for many years, and I loved him like a brother. And I just think that still has a massive effect on me now. I'd be lying if it doesn't. I think about it every single day. I wish I could do this something. I wish I could do this different. I wish that this never happened. I wish that he was here so I can tell him sorry. And no one knows as well. When he passed, obviously still has a phone. Man, I left him so many voicemails.
Would you?
Yeah, I was just ringing it and I was just saying sorry. And I knew, but then I started getting paranoid that his parents obviously got his phone and they would hear them. And then they got to the point where they need to know as well, I don't care. And I just, I remember just ringing his phone all the time. And it would just go to voicemails, got to hear his voice. And it was almost as if I was talking to him. Wow. So I just ring him and I'd just be saying what needs to be said and then I'd hang up. But it felt good to get something off my chest. But because I knew that he wasn't here anymore, it wasn't the real deal.
But that was your way of doing it.
My way of dealing with it. So it wasn't like shaking my hand and be like, hey, don't worry about it. We've argued a million times before. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I have to live with that. And it's caused problems in my recent relationship where I'm not as open. I'm not as honest. And when I get into a disagreement with somebody, they think that I'm an emotionless arsehole because I don't react.
Yeah.
I don't get angry and start saying horrible things to that person. Like, oh, you fucking wanker, to your girlfriend. Really, say nasty things. Or even a breakup, she'd be like, you're so emotionless, you're so cold. It's not because I don't want to say anything because of what's happened there.
Yeah.
But I've never told the people that. They don't know. And I have to live with that. And it's fucking disgusting because I've seen it turn one of my best friends' life upside down. One of my friends that went to the hospital with him and watched him basically die was never touching drinks or drugs. Was always the one that if someone was drinking too much, he'd feel awkward and go home. So now this person has got bad mental health problems because everyone blamed him because he was actually at the hospital. So everyone was blaming him for the death.
And why did they blame him for that?
Because he was there. He was the one. He was in the room, so he was the closest person to turn to and say it was you, and they're eating him alive, bro. Eating him alive, and it's sad to see, and it's horrible. But I mean, he has to deal with that, and I've told him many times he has to seek help for that. But I'm also dealing with my own demons of the things that I regret that I said, and it's not like if it was to say we had an argument, I'd ring you and be like, yeah, sorry for what I said.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't do that, can't take it back. I have to take that to my grave.
You say you can't right or wrong, but sitting here openly talking about it now is going to have an impact, and hopefully people will be able to, every time they finish that phone call, every time they're having an argument with someone now,
Mate, I'm telling you,
they're going to have
the biggest thing you have to do. Growing up, my dad would always say, don't go to sleep on an argument, like let's talk about it, or don't leave without saying bye, or don't leave stressed or whatever. And I never really understood why. And now I do. And from that was 18, I'm 28 now, I don't think I've thrown a punch since. Genuinely don't. And if I have, it's only been in extreme measures.
Yeah.
But I honestly, it made boxing train, all that rubbish, but I genuinely don't think I did, but because now I know the consequences. But to go back on the mental side, bro, all of us we're drinking. We're drinking out 3-4 times a week. And luckily for me, I was still like wanting to be a footballer at this point. So
that half kept you a little bit.
Yeah, half kept me sane because some of the other people had
off the rails.
Completely off the rails. Like some of my other friends that were quite wealthy in the situation just pissed up all their money, just getting smashed all the time. And I was fortunate. I went and done a scholarship in the States. Again, football saved me because it took me out of that. And I remember the first thing I went there, it was a new slate for me. I knew what I had in the regret. I was paranoid everyone else knew the situation. So when I got there, it was a clean slate for me. So I went to the team. They were like, what number do you want? I went 26 because that was his favourite number. I was like, 26. I've wrapped my wrist before every game, no matter, ever since it happened. And I write CS 26. But 5 is alive because at the time he was an organ donor. He saved 5 lives.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then I put my granddad's initials on it and a love heart. And I've done that ever since that moment.
Pre-game ritual.
Yeah, mate, it can't take away from me. And the thing is, sometimes, because I use Sharpies, sometimes I give them to like the physio or the coach or whoever. And I'm like, I'll make sure I get back at the end. I remember once I didn't have it and I was refusing to play. Someone had to go find me a pen, mate, because I just thought that I couldn't play if I didn't do it.
I love that. I was very sentimental before games as well.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. And I'll always say I pray, but I pray before every game. And my word, I started, dear Grandad, dear God, dear Connor, and then I go through with it, and it will be the same. Before anything difficult, I will say that.
That bring you peace?
Yeah, and it also brings me a sense of backup, that I didn't have. Like, I'm going to fucking play well today.
Yeah.
I'm going to play well
There's
today.
a reminder for them.
Yeah, there's my reminder. And I'm playing for them, and I just ask for their strength and their guidance. And it's always like, because Connor was a great footballer as well, I'm like, just allow me to play as good as you, sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I never played centre back then, and now I do. So I play in his position. So it's like, allow me to be as good as you. My left foot's not quite the same, but lucky I'm right footed. But yeah, mate, it was a dark spiral. I was lucky that I got over there, but it's something I have to live every day, and I will take it to the grave. But
I met Connor a fair few times during football. Now he's a great lad, great spirit. He's always smiling and laughing. The demons that you faced with his parents, did you?
Nah, bro.
This would be the first time that they hear that.
Yeah, and I think that it must be tough for them because look, I think that they lost the son. They lost the biggest part of their life, the chunk of their life, and I think that they don't need to say don't worry about it. They don't need to say, because that's my issue. They could say don't worry about it. My issue is not with them. I don't need their okay on it. I need his okay on it.
Yeah.
So I've never spoke to it, but I do think that they know, and I do think that they've held it against me. I perhaps hasn't been involved in certain things after, and probably did get pushed to the side a little bit, which hurt, but it's a lesson learned. I done what I done, which it wasn't tragic. I was having an argument with one of my mates. Do you know what I mean?
That's an everyday occurrence, and even till now.
Yeah, and I think that I said certain things when I found out he got punched. I wasn't as caring around it because we all get punched all the time. Do you know what I mean? Loads of we can go out tonight and get punched. You just have to laugh it off. But not so much now we're older. I'd just be like, oh, I'm not going there again or whatever. But yeah, I have to live with it, mate. So that haunts me.
Till this day, is it something, you said you think about it every single day. Do you treasure the memories now, or is it more still punishing yourself?
I can't treasure the memories I had with him. And that's the most annoying thing because this is on top of it. So when I look down at the memories, like when you're in your head and you look down at them, that's a layer on the top. And I can break through it to have a view, but I can't relish in it. I can't, because I have a regret. So I just always think about that. If I ever think about it, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And it's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? But can't change it, mate. It's just to learn from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the biggest thing is that I am learning from it. So, like, for example, in my last relationship, she'd always get annoyed at me, like, you showing no emotion, like when I was leaving the relationship, whatever. And I'm in my head, that's why I know, but I can't tell her that.
No.
I haven't got the balls enough to tell her that, because in that moment, in the mindset, and probably out of fear as well, in the mindset that they're in, the female's in, they might be like, oh, but don't give her shit.
Yeah.
And if I heard that, then I'm probably going to lose my fucking lid.
Yeah.
Because I'm opened up to you, I've made myself vulnerable. And if you're going to shut it down like that, it's just something that's so big to me, then yeah, I've got a problem.
But that's how important communication is with everything, isn't it? Massive. So moving forward, from that situation, sort of you were in football and that, and then tell us now the journey you're on now.
The journey I'm on now, mate, is one I'm proud of. So I'll run through it quickly. I went on a TV show, come off it, which was tough as well, because I thought it was going to be massive. They brought a TV show back that was supposed to be spending millions on advertising. It was going to be really big. So I was due to go on Love Island before. They cancelled me a couple of days before because it's live. It changes each day. So they cancelled me. So I had an agent at the time. He's like, look, do you want to go on this? And I was like, what the fuck's that? But then again, I'm a 20-odd-year-old lad. I'm like, yeah, well, go on, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Go on, whatever. So I remember getting the call. I was in the Ivy having late breakfast at Abe. And I was like, yes, he put somewhere like buzzing. Like, I thought it was going to be next, like, Wayne Lineker, I was saying. Hopefully not him. But, I thought it was going to be the next big thing. So I go on it, I come out, and it flops. It's not as big, but it also taught me a lot. As time was gone past, I didn't want to be this big blue tick celebrity. I really didn't. But I was stuck on an island with no phone, no radio, no books, no communication with other than the people I was there with. So I had more meaningful conversations with people that I'd known on there for like 2, 3, 4 weeks with any of my family and friends.
Yeah.
So it taught me to grow as a person, to actually appreciate things in the outside life. So I remember getting back and I landed in Heathrow. We had a Channel 4 meeting or whatever. But I remember I come to get my hair cut later that day and I parked just in town. And bearing in mind, I'd lived on an island for 5 weeks. There was no noise. There was no cars, nothing. and a car went past me, and mate, my heart was racing. I had like anxiety. I was like, it's so congested here.
Yeah.
And we just don't appreciate what's out there. So it weren't as big. So obviously I had that side to deal with. And then fortunately I started doing Instagram, got a little bit of a following. Then I got signed to become an international model. So I was doing bits and pieces for that, as well as working in recruitment at the time. I had a really good job, mate. I was 24, on 60 grand a year, had no outgoings.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like some adults, some parents aren't on that, and I was just fortunate that I was quite good at my job. But they were ledge. They let me go on shipwrecked. They then gave me time off to do my model castings and to do my modelling shoots. And
living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream. But so then I actually went part-time doing that, to allow me to focus on more my Instagram stuff and stuff. But then when I started doing it a little bit, I feel like you get caught up in it, and it's very hard to get away from it.
Yeah.
You start, I only got 1,000 likes, that one got 2,000, that one got 3. What's going wrong? Do people not like what I'm wearing? And you start doing it. So when before I didn't really care. I remember having Instagram before, and I didn't follow anybody. I didn't want to see what Sue was having for a dinner or Dave was doing it with his mates. So it was a transition. I remember then going to do modelling in South Africa. And I went there with some boy called Digby from Made in Chelsea. So we went there and I lived the dream for 3 months. But looking back at it now, I was just running from, I think, responsibilities. Would have been 25, 26 going over there. My parents were like, yeah, but like, are you really going to be the next David Gandy? But they were just being realistic. But at the time, I think, you're fucking shooting me down here. Like, do you know what I mean? But would I do that to my 25, 26-year-old kid? Yes, I would.
Protect them.
You protect them. You don't want them to give up their amazing job to go and travel and do that. But, mate, I had a great time, a really good time there. But when it really got tough for me is when I moved back. I hadn't worked at this point for a long time, and I'd been spending a lot of money, going out, table, everywhere I went, nice fancy restaurants, festivals, designer clothes, all this stuff. Because at the time when you model, I think that there's two types of people. There's people that just do it and they're very good at it and they get all the jobs, they don't really care. But I was never the biggest or the best, so I was trying to be the model. I'm not the model, I'm trying to be the model.
Fit the lifestyle.
Fit the lifestyle. So I went there with Digby. He's from Made in Chelsea, very wealthy family and stuff, and we were going to restaurants and all this kind of stuff. But it's when I moved back and lockdown hit, that's when I really had a tough time. I burnt through my money. Everyone, like, I drive a nice car, wear nice things. Everyone was thinking to themselves, and no one even knows. Everyone thinks, he's got loads of money. But at the time, for someone of my age, I did. But I burnt it all. I was buying a pair of lube trainers. I was buying anything, everything. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do now? Because that company is not going to take me back. I'm now in lockdown. I've got no job. I'm back at my parents' house because I was living with my mates in Brunswick on the seafront. But it was like, where do I go here? Because I'd moved out there. They had moved out as well. So I go back to my parents. My plan was that I'd stay here for a couple of weeks. I'll find a flat. Lockdown just carried on. But I had no money, I had no income. Do you know what I mean?
All them demons just come flying out.
So that's when I'm not my parents, didn't want to be there, I hadn't lived there in a long period of time. So you have time to think about a lot of shit, and everything starts coming out the closet. And you're just sitting there. I remember it's
creeps up on you.
And mate, it's roasting hot as well.
Yeah.
So like, I try and sit in my room to watch TV, take mind off things, and it's almost like I can just see all these problems coming at me. Yeah. And then you try and sleep and it's roasting hot, so you can't sleep, so you need more time to think about it. So I just said to myself that I always toyed with the idea of starting my own recruitment agency. And I toyed with it, and as lockdown started going on, I basically said, I'm doing it. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And I did it. And the second wave of lockdown come. But I'd done it, and I was like, look, if I just sit here for 2 months, I've got no outgoings, and I just try and do a little bit of work, but then they close the construction sites because that's what I specialise in. And I was like, fucking hell, why are they making it so hard for me? Do you know what I mean? I was like, just someone give me a break. So I persevered with it, and it got tough, it got hard, but then it was like getting a little bit better, and then I got into a relationship. So I've always lived, let's say, Brighton or London. I've never really gone up north. So I got into a relationship with a girl that DM'd me on Instagram on the 4th of April. shit, I know the days. But yeah, 2 years ago on the 4th of April, almost 2 years ago. And I think it was about my niece. I think that she messaged me a couple of times about my niece, so I was always posting on there. And I remember clicking, I never checked my request because not in a big headed way. I had fucking thousands of the things.
Yeah.
Because I'm in lockdown and I'm bored, I'm going through them. I'm going through them like, these girls are right, aren't they? Like, I was like, why have you maybe missed these? Because some are like 2 years old, a year old. But a lot of them are from when I was in South Africa. So, and like posting, living in these luxury hotels and stuff. So I've replied to this girl. And then it was dead because we couldn't even meet. So, and bearing in mind, I've been single for 4.5 years. I didn't even know how to talk to a girl on that level. Trying to get to know her. Mate, I was rusty, mate. I was saying things, and after, when you write something, and I look at it, and I'm like, I can't even take that back.
Nice weather today.
Yeah, but it's like that. I say something dead, and I'm just praying that she's like, she just one,
it's
it's not even, it's just shit. So I remember talking to her for a couple of weeks, but it got to the point where I didn't want to go to sleep anymore when I was talking to her. I'm staying up.
Yeah,
my eyes are closing. I'm setting an alarm for 5 minutes time just in case I fall asleep so I can reply. Mate, it got that deep.
That's unreal.
And I hadn't been like that because all my mates usually call me like a cold-hearted killer and like I was single, doing whatever. And this is where I really noticed that being single 4.5 years and not being in that position, how much I had changed from when I was younger. Yeah. Because if a girl was texting me at the age of 23, bro, I'm putting that down and going to sleep.
Yeah.
But I started getting excited. And then she was having problems with a member of her family that was poorly. And I wanted to cheer her up. I never met this girl. So in through conversations, I knew that she liked certain chocolate bars. So I'm there, I'm Googling, everyone's making brownies, aren't they? So I'm Googling a company that would send a big slab of brownie with all her favourite chocolates to her address. So I had to say to this girl, like, look, this is a bit weird. I've not met you. I've been speaking for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, but in lockdown, that was all higher. What's your address? Not sounding creepy, but what's your address sort of thing. And she sent it, and I said, a surprise is coming. I just said, look, I've sent you something, a surprise coming next couple of days. I didn't hear anything back.
No.
Yeah, swear down.
Fucked it.
Swear down. So I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I think that where I've not been open and communicating other relationships, I overcompensate with materialistic things and nice dinners, holidays.
Codependency pattern.
So I'm chucking money at these girls. But where I've been single for 4.5 years, a little bit that come in, I'll send it, but I wasn't chucking money, I was doing something nice. Yeah. Which is probably...
You didn't have any money to chuck.
No, literally didn't. Mate, literally didn't. So at this point as well, I didn't. I really didn't. So it was like... it meant a little bit more to me that I was doing that. So then I was driving along the seafront. I think it was when we could go for like an hour walk or whatever. Yeah. So I used to drive along to Hove Lagoon and walk around that area. So I'm driving back and I get to the top of the marina. My phone goes and I see a name crop up, and I'm like, "The fuck!"
Excited.
Yeah, mate. Literally, did I almost crash? No, but I got all nervous and that, so I'll pick up the phone. I work in sales, I'm on the phone, so I can talk to anybody. So I'm like, oh, look who it is. I said, you come to clean the pie off my face. and she was like, look, I'm sorry, I have a lot going on. And then I forgot, because, mate, in the time that she didn't speak to me, bro, I was almost like I had gone for a breakup. Yeah. It was the weirdest feeling because I was like, I've never had this.
You've got nothing else to think about either in lockdown.
No. So I was like, why is she not replying? And I remember going like, is she online? Is she online? Is she online? Is she posted? And she just had a lot going on. So obviously I went to the bottom of her priority pile. And I remember ringing my mate. I was like, oh, mate, she finally replied. He went, yeah, be careful of that one. And I was like, no, she had a lot going on. Anyway, we could meet. I met her in June. She come down to Brighton. I booked her a car parking space. The hassle free. It was fucking lovely outside. And I remember seeing her for the first time. Well, actually, I didn't hide, but I knew where the car park was, but I didn't want her to get lost. So it wasn't one of the normal ones. I booked like a private parking space in some tower block in the centre of Brighton. So I'd see this bombshell blonde drive past me in this white Mercedes. I'm like, fuck.
I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble. Right. And then I was waiting at this entrance, waiting for her to come out, but she'd gone the long way round. Well, whatever way round anyway, long or short. But so I said, fine, meet me. Do you know where the I-360 is? You got what's that statue opposite? You got that big statue. So I'm standing there. Yeah. And I'm on my phone, nervous as fuck. My palms are sweaty. And then she goes, I'm here, and I look up, and then she does this pose like taking the piss, like putting a hand out, and mate, my heart dropped then. In my head, I was like, "You're the one." But she hadn't even spoke to me. I was like, "You're the one," because someone that can come and be that cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
I was like, "This isn't even gonna be a date. It's like chilling."
Your best mate turning up.
Yeah. So we got on like a house on fire, mate. And the moment that she left, I think I see her the day after. I think she drove back down the day after.
Sick.
Yeah, she drove back down the day after, and I was busy. I got involved with some food thing called Clean Kitchen at that time. So I was doing that, and I was busy. She come to one of those events, and she met my parents. They were there because it was a launch event. It was all very chilled. It wasn't like, "Oh, nice to meet you. This is my new girlfriend." And then and then it just snowballed from there, really, mate. And before I knew it, a month had passed. I think in August I moved in. So we've gone from like the end of June to August.
Boy.
Yeah, I moved in, and this is a subject I can't speak too much about because it's nothing. I can't.
Yeah, that's absolutely
I
fine.
can't talk about it. So
all good,
one of
all
our
good.
family members got poorly, so I moved in to help. I moved in to help and help her with the stress and to cope with certain things, because if you're looking after somebody, where do you get your time, sort of thing?
Yeah.
So we're doing that, but sadly passed. And rocked our world, bro. And I was madly, deeply in love with this said female. I mean, if people follow me on social media or whatever, they would know that I proposed.
Yeah, you see it massively smits.
I was this girl was my world, and I proposed. Yeah. But certain other little things had happened during the relationship. There was just so much shit that went on. Like there was a miscarriage. There was certain behaviour patterns that I had, i.e., not being able to communicate properly, not being able to open up, because I see that as a sign of weakness. So, for example, when my business was, because it was lockdown, when my business was perhaps not making the money that I wanted to make, I then get stressed.
Yeah.
So then I have that, but then I have the house stress and all this other stuff going on. And I've gone from living in a city all my life to now living 3 hours away from my family and friends. I knew nobody. So it was like, there's no blowout here. There's no way. No gyms are open. I'm having to go for country walks. There's no outlet. There's no burn. So every bit of stress that I'm holding, because bearing in mind, I've only known this girl for like a month and a half. You go to live with this person in lockdown.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm going to work and you're going to work sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm working from home, sort of. So I'm working from home. So it's like, everything is intensified. We never argued. And this is the one good thing. We never bickered. We never argued. The only discussion we'd have about something big, or perhaps me not opening up, or I made her feel a certain way, or she was making me feel a certain way. Normal, healthy conversations.
Yeah.
But I think it got to the point where I perhaps was robbing myself of time with my family and friends that then started becoming a problem in the relationship. I thought that she was boring, or I thought that she was holding me in, when realistically I'm running a business trying to scale. I'm playing football on a Tuesday night, Thursday night, and a game on a Saturday or a game on a Wednesday. How can I then focus on my relationship and go do fun things? Because you've also got to remember that I got in a relationship where no restaurants, bars, pubs, you weren't allowed to do anything.
No, that's
so
true.
where was our fun side? Where was our getting to know each other? Where was, go get pissed, go have that naughty sex in a hotel room or whatever it may be? We didn't have that. We had stress from the moment, but stress that wasn't even stuff that we brought on.
No.
So we just had a whirlwind, and there was parts of it where were fucking incredible, and I still look at it like I've literally only been single for a couple of weeks, so it's all very raw for me. But I proposed to her, and I meant it at the time.
I remember you messaged me about the ring.
Yeah, mate, I did, didn't I? And the thing is, it's one of them ones. It's another life lesson, and I've broke the poor girl's heart. But that's not intentionally, and she's broken mine. But that's because when we set out on our journey together, we were both on the same page. But unfortunately for me, certain things that happened in our relationship which made me retract and become the person that I was when I was younger, not opening up, not talking to her, and not being as forthcoming. So I would loosely say, look, we can have a baby. But there's no direction on it, because I'm just thinking, well, when she asked me again in 2 months, I'll say, yeah, of course we can in time. And I just kept on. So she's still believing that we can have it. And it was unfair, and I hold my hands up, it's unfair for me not to communicate properly and probably give better timelines. But there was things that, look, it's not pointing the finger because that's definitely not what I want to do. I've done things wrong, she's done things wrong. But the hardest thing for me is that when you get into that position and you think that I'm going to marry this girl, I proposed. Like, I wrote a fucking 200 little tea light candle things. I went to go do it outside, but the wind was blowing and we had a dock on the lake and the wind kept on blowing. I've sat her in the car with a blindfold on, with her music on in the car. I said, do not come here.
So that's what you just left her.
Yeah, mate. I literally said, go sit in the car. I've got a surprise for you. And I planned to do it on top of Ben Nevis, but we never got around to climbing it on the weekend. So I was like, what can I do? So I wrote, will you, and a question mark in fucking little tea lights. It took me so long to fucking, mate, the amount of burns I had on my fingers. So I brought her in from the car. I ended up doing it indoors in the end. And then I put a blindfold on her. And I remember walking in and I lifted it off. And then I was behind her. And she was gobsmacked, and she said yes. Bearing in mind, this girl had been proposed to 2 times before. I said no. So it was a real privilege for me. But that was she calls it, that was a turning point where I think that goes back to my mum thing. I then got the love, the confirmation, and I started to take my foot off the gas a little bit. Yeah. Instead of having to chase it. It'd come naturally. Yeah, I knew that she had just confirmed. So I'm like, well, sweet. So I took my foot off the gas. Like most relationships do, you go off an ease off period. Yeah. There were bits where it was really good, but I unfortunately left a couple of months later. And then recently, about a month ago, tried to go back. And I only left for a couple of weeks and realised that perhaps I did make a mistake. But during that time, it wasn't I left because I didn't love her. It was because I had so much stress going on internally that I didn't know how to voice. Yeah. And because I'd never spoken to a therapist or anything, and I didn't know what to say to her. There were certain things, a miscarriage, where I couldn't console her. I'm going through it as well. Okay, you had it physically, but a big thing is that certain things in the relationship happened where perhaps my needs weren't up there with hers because she was going through something physical, but I am going through it mentally. And for me to go through something mentally, I don't know how to digest it. Same as a lot of people.
You don't until it happens. And even then, you don't know how to digest it. No. It's only when you look back on it, you go, maybe I could have dealt with that better.
Mate, now I look back at it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could have been more attentive or shown her more empathy. And maybe I should have said to her, look, I'm fucking really struggling. We're going to have to talk about this because I need to get it out. But instead, I didn't, because I thought that my emotions and my pain that I was going through weren't as great as hers. So I shot myself in the foot. And there were points along the relationship where I got told that my feelings weren't as high as hers in certain situations, or my needs, shall I say. So I just never brought it up. And it comes back to bite me in the ass, because I then started to resent her a little bit, or not so much resent, like, well, this girl's not got my back. I just looked at her as my mum, another woman that I love that hasn't necessarily got my back in those certain situations. She did in others, but it just, damage was done. So I left and tried to go back 2 months ago. Oh, bro, and it's so painful, because there is nothing more than I want than to be able to flick a switch. I used to say to flick a switch and just be back to where I was, but I can't.
Can't force the feeling.
I can't. And I love her because when I'm with her, nothing else matters. But I've always got one foot out the door. Yeah. And it's like it's stuck in a fucking puddle of. I want to drag it in. I'll chop it off and leave the fucking leg there, mate. But I just can't.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah. So it's like, and I'm being horrible to her. She is a little boy, and I can't keep coming out. I've seen it. I've seen men coming out in and out the door. Yeah. I can't do it to him. No, I can't teach him that someone keeps coming out. So I could try 100 times over and I might win it. I might get back there on the 100th time. Yeah. But the damage would be done to him and her. Yeah. And I can't do that. So although I want to be with her, I've had to walk away. So I had a house. We had a fucking house together. We had everything together. She had a ring. We had plans for the future. We had business ideas. So I've had to now come back to Brighton. I haven't lived in 2 years.
Back to mum and dad's again.
Back to my mum and dad's again, where I haven't been in 2 years. I've had my own place in 2 years, because I don't want to go just jump straight into a rental or go put money down on a mortgage. It has to be right, because if I go do that, I'm then stuck in somewhere and make for shit. Course, so I go back to home comforts. I've only been there for 2 weeks. Unfortunately for me, I'm leaving in 4 weeks. I've got my own place being sorted and built at the moment. So it's now I've got to start a new chapter. But when I left a couple of weeks ago. It's like, how do I get to that stage? Because, bro, I'm fucking telling you, I'd have shot myself in the head a week ago just to stop the voices. Why you not going back? But you do love her. Why you not fighting for her? But you don't love her. And it's like the chimp paradox, mate.
Yeah.
The human and the chimp are arguing 24/7, and they're tearing.
They're fuckers, mate.
Bro, they are tearing fucking lumps out of each other. So, and people that have gone through breakups will know. So you're like, well, why have I left? Because I do love her. Well, then your mates be like, well, you couldn't have because otherwise you wouldn't have left.
Yeah.
And you've left a couple of times now, so you can't love her as much.
You've done the most powerful thing because you notice yourself going back into someone that you hated to be when you was younger.
So this is where it gets interesting, because I now know, especially since Friday, so it's now a Tuesday. So I noticed a massive difference from Friday to now on my mental shift.
Yeah.
Because I said to myself, look, you can't change what's done, but you have to make yourself a promise that you've got these regrets in the relationship. Maybe you weren't as open, you didn't communicate, you weren't as nice in some situations when you went through a miscarriage, that you weren't as there for her as you should have been. So what can you do next time? So I'm taking everything, and I shared this with my therapist the other day. It's almost like I got a loaf of bread in my head, and I'm taking all the blame on myself at the moment. I'm taking it all on. But now, since Friday, I'm starting to, here's your bit, here's my bit, here's your bit, but I'm really fucking analysing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving her a slice of the bread just for the sake of it, because I might have more, because otherwise I don't grow.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't grow. And I think that now is the key moment in turning my life into something that I really want it to be. Got a fantastic business, got a lovely car, got a great family, got a great future ahead of me if I want it. But you can't do that unless you can't build a house on no foundation.
No, it's all about the energy that you have. And you've had that shift of energy it's took to leave is the most heartbreaking thing. However, you will catapult within 2 weeks a hell of a lot more than you would have done 6 months or a year around that energy.
Tell me, because yesterday, I'm coming clean. I need to come clean. Yesterday, I got in my car. Well, I've been going to sleep most nights since leaving and be like, why can't you just turn it? The love's there, but why can't you just put both feet in the door?
Yeah.
Because I think where I've left, and I'm so scared of that happening again 6 months down the line, me being back in square one, I haven't perhaps given it my all. And that's what you said. Stacey returned, but not the real Stacey sort of thing. So I got in my car yesterday and I drove there. This is no banter.
It's Pete, bro.
Yeah. So it's a 3-hour drive, mate. It's not something taken lightly. So I listen to loads of podcasts, Ed Milet, I know you love, and the Stephen Bartlett one. So I'm listening to these podcasts and I'm getting it back. I'm fucking getting it back. I woke up that morning, yesterday morning, I'm getting it back because I can't live with this misery. And I know it's not loneliness because I've got a new flat to go into. I've got money, I've got cars, got mates and whatever. I need this girl. I planned the future for her. I need to go back all in. But then I'm kidding myself because I know too much damage has been done.
Yeah.
I've broken this girl's confidence.
You think she's the missing piece of
yeah.
jigsaw.
So I'm driving and I get an hour from Peterborough. So I've been driving for just over 2 hours and I stopped to get a coffee, go for a wee. But what I didn't mention is I emailed her late the night before and said, will you meet me tomorrow just for 10 minutes? I woke up and I finished the gym session. It was about 7:30 and I see on my phone, I don't think that's, no, Stacey, I don't think that's going to be helpful. But at this moment, I won't take a no for a fucking answer.
Yeah.
The girl wants fight, I'm bringing fight to the
Straight
table.
up that M5.
Yeah, so I'm whizzing up there and I get to the services and I was like, okay, well, what if she's not there?
Yeah.
But then I also, over a coffee, I'm like, I have to also respect that this girl said no. So I'm thinking to myself, who am I to then force myself upon her if she doesn't want to speak to me, she wants no contact and wants to repair. That's selfish of me. I've done enough damage. So got my phone out and I sent her a text and said, look, I'm under an hour away. Will you please just see me for 10 minutes? But then I put, I fully understand if you don't want to, don't feel like you have to, but I would really like to see you. So I'm there, 10 minutes passes, I get no text back. So I'm thinking, fuck, what do I do? Do I just drive? So then I thought, no, I'm going to ring her.
Yeah.
So I rung her, no answer. So I looked at my clock. I was like, right, I'm going to give her 15 minutes because I know her phone's always around her in her hand because she's at work and she works from home. I know where the address is, but I'm not just going to turn up. That's invading her space, her bubble. So I gave her 10 minutes and I was like, right, when this 10 minutes gets up, I'm going. sat there for 45 minutes waiting for a text back. Do you know what I mean? It's like 10 minutes pass and you make excuses.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no, but I'll give her 15.
Oh, maybe she's in the shower.
Yeah,
Maybe she's
maybe she's on a viewing or it's got something going on. So I gave her 45 minutes. And then I was like, fine. Then I just started driving back. I was like, look, I can't sit here all day. I've got a business to run as well. So I started driving back and I was like, well, I need to let her know that I'm not coming just in case she's worrying, that I'm just going to turn up. And I need to let her know that I tried. I did, because the old me that's left before didn't try.
Yeah.
And I knew that if she'd accepted to meet me, then that showed me that this girl is worth it. Like, she's worth it already, but it shows me that I can let down all of my insecurities and barriers to really fucking give it a go and not have one foot out the door because she's fantastic. But so I text her and I was just saying, unfortunately I've turned around. I did try and call. I wish you all the best. No reply. But that was such a powerful moment in my shift, because me sitting here talking about it now, if you'd asked me last week at the start of the week, Matt, I wouldn't be able to say I couldn't hold a sentence together. I was miserable. But it's such a shift because, yes, it was closure, but I respect her so fucking much for having the confidence to not give in. So I'm like, if she's focusing on fixing herself, I ended it. So if she's focusing on doing that and bettering herself and getting her confidence back, I'm going to do the same. And that's not because I'm sour. That's because I can't move forward if I've got my mind back there.
100%.
So I need to now focus on growing and becoming the best thing. So I've now noticing a massive change in my morning routines. I always have a morning routine, but it's always positive now when I wake up. It's not the voice like, go win her back, go win her back. Like, we all have them in breakups.
100%.
And you don't know what's right.
Ifs, buts, what if, shall I send the text?
Have I done this wrong? So I'm going to respect it. And I respect the silence. And look, I might get 6 months down the line when I've grown as a person and become the person that was present at the start of the relationship before the troubles that we had, before the grieving and that stuff. And I might think, fuck, I've really messed up.
Yeah.
Will I reach out? Probably. Will I give her a phone call? I'm not going to turn up at her address and just be like, look, I hope you're well, amicable. How are you feeling? But I also think that it's very key to not go back to that stage of mindset. Bro, I wasn't training in the gym. I wasn't eating properly. It turned very sour at the end. And now I know I sound like the arsehole saying that I've destroyed this girl. But when I left, bro, I got back to Brighton and my clothes were cut up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not whose fault is it. It was just a bit of a whirlwind. And I've done things, she's done things. And I can only use it to help me grow as a person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we all go for breakups. And do you know what the worst thing is? When you're in it, your mind is a fucker.
It don't matter what anyone says, mate. You're fucked.
My stepmom's like, yeah, what do you want? And my dad's like, man up, you're going to get through this. And then your mates would be like, there's 4 billion other girls in the world. And you're like, you don't want to hear that. Because my mind's telling me I'm not going to meet someone as good as her.
Exactly. And it is waffle. And any outside noise, and it don't matter, because when you act on emotions, it's the most powerful thing in the world. You can lose relationships, you can make relationships, you can lose jobs, you can lose anything acting on emotions. We've all done this. Anyone that is watching this now, that says they haven't lost their head or done any stupid shit to do with a relationship, you're off your fucking nut and you're lying.
100%, because you've all genuinely been in a relationship at some point in your life.
Yeah.
And when you end it, whether you've cheated or whatever, you're like, fuck, I wish I didn't cheat. Fuck, I wish I didn't cheat.
It's so true.
But really, if you loved her enough, you wouldn't have fucking cheated. So don't, let that poor girl go. And this is the way I look at it. So let them go. But I think that this is the key bit into my growth over the next couple of months that I'm really need to listen to. It's the bread analogy. This is what I'm to blame for, because when I'm talking to my therapist or whoever, you're taking too much blame on. You're taking, because they break that down.
You're building that, you build that persona yourself. You plant that seed. No one else is fucking telling you that's it. Not even the other person is telling you that.
But what happened was...
Shout out Kristen on that one.
Yeah, Kristen, legend. But it gets to the point where I was blaming myself for her cutting up my clothes.
Yeah.
So when I break it down with Kristen, I'm like... She's like, why are you to blame? You didn't tell her to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But my actions, no, but... That
doesn't
matter.
So simple,
so I'm like, fuck. So I've spent the last 2.5 weeks... beating myself up.
Yeah, you've got no need to.
No need. And then we're breaking it down, you're tearing it all apart, and it's like, well, this is my responsibility, I'm taking it. But that's also yours.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you to say horrible fucking shit to me when I left, and it's like, like I said with the Connor situation, and this is where I go back to it, where I said what I did. Bro, when I left, and this is going to be very powerful for you fucking females, generally not to do it, because, or males, because this is the biggest head fuck. So when I ended it, It was Tuesday afternoon. I ended it and she hung up the phone. But she rings me back, and then she knew that we had just unfortunately lost the baby and I wasn't ready for another one. So I knew she was on a pill.
Yeah.
She rung me. I was in the office with my colleague and rung me and said, I'm pregnant. I've not been taking the pill. And I'm like, what? And I've literally like now sat up in my chair. I'm not mad at her because immediately I'm thinking to myself, but you told me you're on the pill. So I said, but you're on the pill. And she said, well, I went on a course of antibiotics and I've been pregnant for 2 weeks. I've just not bothered telling you. So even then I'm programmed now not to say horrible things because I just can't do it. So I just literally put it, what the fuck? I said, so how has this happened? You told me you're on the pill though. So she goes, well, I am, and I'm not getting rid of it. I'm going to be the best mum I can cope and hang up. So after I'm like, and the geezer that was with me and where it was like, bro, that's so offside. So I then went a week. And my phone goes on a Saturday. I'm out just trying to, take mine off, having a few beers in London with one of my mates. And my phone goes and it's a text. And it's like, it wasn't a very nice text. And bear in mind, I've not contacted her since.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, and by the way, I'm not pregnant. So I've gone a week.
Fucking hell, man.
But it's not me. Because in my head I was like, fine. I know I didn't want one, but if she's pregnant, I'm fucking all in.
Yeah.
Because I've come from a broken family.
Can't be chopping and changing.
Not that I'm all in. I'm not going to get back with her. I will just provide, I will support, and I will see that baby.
Yeah.
It was more the effect that had on my stepmom and my dad. They're like, fuck, because they want the best for me, the same as any parent does. So the moral of the story is that don't say horrible shit in the moment. As it goes back to your emotion thing, that you will just generally say something in the moment. But
everything's all right to say, listen, let me I'll retract that, or I apologise for saying that. But the ego don't allow to do it because you go mad, and then me and Nat have to do it. It's like, look, I'm sorry about that.
But that's the best way to do it because there was times where I'd done things and I couldn't own up to it because it's your ego. If the cat had walked out in front of me and I could kick it in front of her, she'd be like, why'd you kick the cat? And I'd be like, no, I didn't. She'd be like, yeah, but why'd you kick the cat? Fucking didn't. It walked in front of me. So you kicked it. And I went, no, I didn't. But that's just us. It's an ego thing.
Yeah, it's programmed to get you back up.
2 seconds later, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know why I did that.
And it squashes it straight away.
Yeah, and it's the best way to do it. And I think that is growth.
Yeah, massively. And what growth you've had from that young lad that was, falling asleep next to his mum on a bedroom floor to
now running a business and to just being more aware. I think that's what it's about. And awareness. I buzz off helping other people. I'm not in recruitment to make 6 figures a year, although it feels great. I'm in recruitment because I get phone calls from some guy's wife saying, oh my God, you got him a 10 grand new job. Thank you so much. Their kids are buzzing, mate. I swear to God, it happens. It happens.
Yeah,
and oh my God, I can take my kids on a holiday. That's why I do it.
There's your fulfillment.
It's amazing. A lot of people say, yeah, but you can really scale your business. You're making 5 figures a month. You can really scale it, and it is life-changing money.
Yeah.
But to me, it ain't about that.
No.
I work 4 days a week. Because I give myself the Friday to enjoy life. If I want to go on holiday, I will just do it. Not because I can afford it, but because I will give myself the freedom. Because one, you can't take it to the grave here. I don't have any kids to leave it to right now, so I'm going to fucking enjoy myself. And 2, I think it's important to turn off and unwind.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be some girls watching this that will happily have your kid, Stacey.
No comment.
So, mate, what a journey. Thank you. I always ask my guest, so Melio means for the pursuit of the better in life. How do you plan on pursuing the better in life moving forward? I know you've touched on it about helping clients.
Well, the biggest thing that I want to pursue to make not only my life better but other people's is to be more aware. And by aware, I mean on a broad spectrum of communication, awareness, empathy. And I think it boils down to be a better person, internally and externally. And I think that if I can do that, I'd rub off on other people. I listened to a podcast the other day and it's like, if you're lonely, go into the coffee shop when you get coffee and say hi to the barista. You're going to make her day. You're going to see her smile. There's going to be a new connection. They're going to say hi to another person. And it's just a knock-on effect.
It's a snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect. So I think being more aware of everything around me. And it boils down as well to gratitude, and let's be honest.
Everything's gratitude.
Yeah. So I think just being more aware and being present and living for the now.
Stacey, thank you for coming and telling your story. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability. and just being able to sit there strong as fuck. And after
we'll wait in a minute, man. I'm going to be in the back of the car crying.
After the roller coaster of a journey that you've been on, I know this will have a massive, massive impact on people. I'm very grateful to be able to sit here and listen to it. It means the world. You've inspired me. And yeah, pleasure.
Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to reach out on any of these topics, you're going for a breakup or whatever, and look, you're always going to get biased opinions by your family, your friends. Do not fucking listen to them opinions because they're the worst. They're fuel to the fire. So reach out, female, male, whatever it may be about any problem, I'll be there for you.
Appreciate it, Stacey. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Push this into the path of someone you may feel benefit from it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Melly a fucking movement, baby.
Melly a movement, baby.